My name is Vivian, and I've always been determined to keep myself for marriage. I grew up believing that waiting until I said I do was the right thing to do, and I never wavered from that conviction. Then, one day, I met Emmanuel. He was kind, charming, and genuinely interested in getting to know me. We met through mutual friends, and I was immediately drawn to his warm smile and gentle nature. But I was cautious. I didn't want to rush into anything or compromise my values. Emmanuel sensed my hesitation and approached me with patience and understanding. He didn't pressure me or try to convince me to change my mind. Instead, he showed me love, care, and respect, slowly winning my trust. As we spent more time together, I began to see Emmanuel's good heart. He was supportive, encouraging, and always there for me. I found myself falling for him, but I still wasn't ready to commit. Emmanuel didn't give up. He continued to woo me, showering me with affection and attention. He wrote me sweet notes, surprised me with small gifts, and listened to me whenever I needed someone to talk to. Slowly but surely, my defenses crumbled. I realized that Emmanuel was different from others. He showed me so much love and I felt the same way about him. One day, Emmanuel took me to a beautiful park, got down on one knee, and asked me to marry him. I was overwhelmed with emotion, but I knew exactly what I wanted. I said yes. Our wedding was a beautiful celebration of our love, surrounded by friends and family. I thought I had made the right choice in waiting for Emmanuel. But looking back, I realized that getting married to Emmanuel was the worst mistake I've ever made. At first, our marriage was blissful. Emmanuel was attentive, loving, and supportive. But slowly, things started to change. He began leaving home for days at a time without explanation. I would ask him where he was going, and he would brush me off, saying it was work related. I was confused and concerned. Why wouldn't he tell me the truth? I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe he was just stressed or busy. But the frequency of his trips increased, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. One day, I decided to confront Emmanuel. Where are you always going? You are always leaving me alone, and I don't know what's going on. His expression turned dark, and he warned me, don't ever ask me about my whereabouts again. It's none of your business. I was surprised. Why was he being so secretive? Then, one day, I stumbled upon a conversation that made my heart sink. I was walking past our bedroom when I heard Emmanuel speaking in hushed tones on the phone. I recognized the tone, the laughter, and the intimacy. It was a woman's voice on the other end. My heart racing, I listened, and my worst fear were confirmed. He was talking to his mistress. I miss you, baby, he said. I will soon see you. I felt like my world was crashing. My marriage, my love, my trust, all shattered in an instant. I didn't know what to do, but I knew I couldn't stay silent. I needed answers and I needed the truth. But as I turned to confront him, I saw the anger in his eyes and I knew I was in for a fight. I couldn't believe what I had just heard. My husband, the man I loved and trusted, was cheating on me. I felt a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, and betrayal. I decided to take matters into my hands. I started tracing his movements, following him without him knowing. I wanted to know who this woman was and where she lived. One day, I followed him to a nice apartment complex on the other side of the town. He went inside and I waited patiently close to the building. After a few hours, he came out, with the young girl accompanying him. They were laughing and playing love, and then they waved each other goodbye, after which my husband left. I left too. I sat in my room, trying to process everything. I felt like all the air had been sucked out of me. I couldn't believe my husband. The man I loved and trusted was cheating on me. I thought about our marriage, about how I had saved myself for him, about how I thought that would earn his trust and respect. But I guess I was wrong. I couldn't shake off the feeling of worthlessness that had settled in my stomach. I felt like I wasn't enough, like I would never be enough. But then I thought about his mistress. Maybe she didn't know he was married. Maybe she was just oblivious. I decided to go back to her apartment to tell her the truth. I needed to know if she knew, if she cared. I confronted my husband's mistress. It was the greatest mistake I've ever made. I thought the two of us could talk woman to woman. I approached her calmly. I laid down my case. I urged her to stay away from my husband because my husband had been lying to her. I was motherly. I sought to tell her to pull away because my husband wouldn't take her anywhere. The first thing she said was, "Who are you to tell me to leave him? Who told you I wanted to know he was married? Woman, handle your home, let me handle mine." I should have left when she said that. I thought I could reason with a girl who looked like my younger sister. She started shouting to draw eyes. I started moving away swiftly. She threw insults at my directions. "If you don't know how to keep your husband at home, come let me teach you. You all call yourselves wives. Marriage is indeed cheap. Look at her walking like a drunk dog. If I knew he was married to a 10 like you, I wouldn't have dated him. How could he degrade himself like that?" She wasn't shy about telling everyone she was dating a man married to me, but I was shy and was walking swiftly from my shame so people don't take a video of me and later post on social media. I was 4 months pregnant, but my belly was teeny, so she thought I was pot-bellied. She used all that to insult me. My husband came home to continue from where his mistress left off, accusing me of causing a sin and embarrassing him in the process. He went around shouting at me as if he was the victim. I didn't say a word. Emmanuel's face turned red with rage as he shouted at me. "Why did you go to her apartment? Why did you confront her?" I remained silent, trying to calm him down, but he only got angrier. "Why are you not saying anything? Why are you just standing there like a statue?" he yelled. "Are you ignoring me?" I took a deep breath and tried to speak, but he cut me off. "No, don't even try to explain. I don't want to hear it. You are just trying to ruin my life, aren't you?" I shook my head, trying to talk to him, but he wouldn't listen. I quietly headed to my room, but I was stopped by a heavy punch from my husband. He started punching all over my body, concentrating more on my belly, knowing fully well I was pregnant. I started bleeding right away, but he left me there and went out of the house. I was left alone, bleeding, crying my eyes out, feeling defeated and heartbroken. I realized that our marriage was over. My child was gone and nothing mattered to me again. I couldn't take it anymore. The emotional pain was too much to bear. I needed to get out of there, away from Emmanuel's anger and infidelity. I managed to stand from the floor. I made my way to the hospital. I needed to take care of myself, both physically and emotionally. I was evacuated on. The doctor told me I was lucky to have made it in time, that the stress and trauma could have caused serious complications. I knew I had to take care of myself, that I couldn't go back to the way things were. When I returned home, I packed my bags and left. I couldn't stay in that house anymore. Couldn't pretend that everything was okay. I needed to get away from Emmanuel. 2 years passed and my divorce from Emmanuel was finalized. I had moved on with my life, focusing on myself and my well-being. I had healed from the headache and was ready to start anew. One day, my father invited me to a gathering in our family house. I attended, and that's where I met him. My father's best friend's son, Michael. He was kind, gentle, and genuine. He struck up a conversation and I felt a connection. Michael told me he had been searching for a homely wife, someone who valued family and relationships. He said I was exactly what he had been looking for. I was hesitant at first, but as we spent more time together, I realized Michael was kind, respectful, and honest. Everything flowed effortlessly. We started dating, and 6 months later, he proposed. I said yes. We got married, surrounded by our loved ones. It was a beautiful ceremony, and I felt like I had finally found my soulmate. Michael and I have been living peacefully for years now. He is an amazing husband, father, and partner. He valued our relationship and our family. I heard through a former neighbor that Emmanuel had married his mistress, Rachel. I wasn't surprised. I had expected him to end up with her. But what did surprise me was that they had a baby girl together. I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness for the child, knowing that Emmanuel was her father. But that wasn't the end of the story. I later found out that Emmanuel had abandoned Rachel and their daughter, moving in with another woman. I couldn't believe it. He had done it again? Then one day I saw Rachel. She looked worn out, tired, and defeated. She approached me, tears in her eyes, and apologized for everything she had done to me. Vivian, I am so sorry for my part in your divorce. I was blind, and I didn't see the pain I was causing. Please forgive me. I looked at her and I saw the sincerity in her eyes. But I didn't need to forgive her. I had already done that a long time ago. Rachel, I forgave you a long time ago, and I want you to know that God used you to set me free from a toxic marriage. If it wasn't for you, I might still be stuck with Emmanuel. Rachel looked at me in shock, then tears of relief streamed down her face. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you for forgiving me. I smiled and gave her a hug.